How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Monsters. This is Season 2, Episode 18, and this one's entitled The Offering. It originally came out February 18th, 1990, directed by Ernest Farino, and stars Orson Bean, Robert Krantz, and Bob Larkin. The episode is based on a short story by Dan Simmons, who also adapted the episode into the teleplay, and I will say Dan Simmons has wrote a lot of really cool books. You may know him for Hyperion or Drood, but he also wrote The Tear, which got adapted into an AMC series, so cool to see a Dan Simmons piece here. And I do want to say, this episode came out really good. It's definitely a highlight of the season. It's monsters doing straight up horror, so none of this comedy stuff that kind of infested season 2. A straight up horror, but not just horror, hospital horror, and also sort of a creature conspiracy episode. This guy gets hit on his head, and now he can see the aliens that are secretly farming humans for cancer. That's dark and messed up. It's one of those what if the real world actually operated in this faction, and what if something we don't quite understand that's horrible was actually even more horrible. It's one of those dark and messed up thought episodes, and boy is it dark and messed up, including the creature design. When he first sees this creature, you don't even know really what you're looking at. And then when you see it even longer, it's not like it gets much better. The creature, when you see it and you don't quite even understand what it's doing, and it's all gooey and gross like Silent Hill or David Cronenberg or something. Boy, let me tell you, this is one of the best and most disturbing monsters from Monsters. It's pretty cool. I really did like this episode. I can see not everybody liking it though. Like when they get to the end, it does get a little bit sci-fi, and I can see some people saying that's not how that works. That bugs me. And yeah, there are a few moments that might get people like that. And the monster is a puppet, and I personally really love it, but I know some people don't like when you can see kind of the gears behind the thing, but I don't care. I think this episode's really cool. I definitely recommend it. Definitely one of the highlights of the season, and I am glad that they adapted a Dan Simmons story. I mean, the Robert Bloch story earlier in the season was another highlight as well, and I think that is a thing, is that Tales from the Dark Side adapted short stories a lot more than Monsters did. And I really wish we got a lot more of that, because when you have a short story to go off of, the episode does usually get a lot better. And this is an absolutely creepy little episode that I definitely recommend you guys checking out. But I guess in order to analyze it a little further, let's talk a bit about the plot. I'll try to avoid the major spoilers, so I'll try not to go too far towards the end, but I do want to break down and analyze things and dive in a little deeper. So without further ado, what's the episode about? Well, we wake up in a hospital. This guy is confused and doesn't quite know how he got there. It turns out he was in a car wreck and he's been in a coma for 3 days and has a pretty bad concussion on his face. Ironically, he was in a hurry driving to the hospital, so he got to his destination, but not quite in the way you prefer. You see, his mother's dying from cancer, and she was going to have an emergency surgery, so now mother and son are both patients in the hospital, and he says, I want to go see her, and the doctors say, hey, you need your rest. But he's going to sneak out in the middle of the night to see his mother. Mother's behind the curtain, and when he pulls that curtain aside, yeah, you don't even know what you're looking at for a minute, and I do like how it initially cuts away, and you see his reaction for a bit, and you're like, what was that? And then, yeah, you do pan back, and you see what the creature's doing, but it's bizarre. it has a sort of depositor coming out of its mouth that is depositing and retracting slugs into his mom's throat. That's weird and surreal and bizarre. It's a messed up visual, and I really, really love it. And of course the guy's gonna faint. Because yeah, you see something like that in real life, I totally get fainting, especially if you're recovering from a head injury. He wakes up and he tries to explain what he thinks was going on to the doctor. And I love how he has a guess, but he doesn't quite know because he just saw something weird. And it's not like the alien talked to him or anything. He doesn't even know if it was an alien, some unseen part of our dimension, what's going on here. But he thinks, what if this species is depositing these snails, and maybe they are the cancer, or they leave it behind when they, like, breed inside of us, and then the aliens farm them. They take them out and supposedly eat them or something. Again, we're not given the whole play-by-play, but we get the idea. Aliens farming humans for cancer, that's messed up, and he refers to them as cancer vampires, which, if you're trying to get someone to take you seriously, maybe you don't say cancer vampires, but it helps the audience understand it. And he says it's because of this head injury. That's why I can see new things now. And the doctor points out what would be the more optimal solution. Like, dude, you just hit your head, and you also have this trauma with your dad, and now your mom is dying of cancer. You don't have magic powers, you just hit your head. And if you weren't in an episode of a TV show, that would totally be what's going on. But we know we're watching monsters, and he does have a few interesting arguments. Like, he says cancer is like a recent phenomenon. There's not been a ton of documented cases in the past, and that is kind of a weird fun fact with cancer, but I think it's also played down to we have more toxins in our atmosphere now, and we're also getting better at spotting and diagnosing it. But I don't know enough about that to really say too much, but I think I have heard that before, that cancer's kind of been booming lately, but like I said, I don't know much about that theory. But anyway, he's almost willing to put it down, except for the roommate in his room does kind of confirm it. He says that they did find him in his mother's room last night, and he does briefly reference the night creatures before clamming up about it. So maybe it is real, and maybe it's time to learn about radiation. Yeah, okay, there's one thing with this episode. He's apparently kind of buddies with the doctor. You know, maybe he's been there a while and him and the doctor have a friendship. But he talks about space vampires, and then he's like, can I see the radiation stuff working and help me understand how it functions? And he takes him during one of the procedures and even shows him, like, where the stuff is and how it's kept. And I'm like, dude, this guy was just talking about space vampires. Maybe don't show him how all the radiation stuff works. Maybe just tell him to lie in bed and not think about it. As I said, the end of the episode gets a little weird, and a lot of it's probably scientifically inaccurate, but you know what? I do love those nasty and disturbing what-ifs, and this is definitely a good case of that. Overall, I really did like this episode, and I definitely recommend it. If you only check out a couple from this season, I'd say definitely put this one on the list. It is definitely a highlight. Good, creepy, disturbing episode. Very creative. Gotta love it. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Monsters playlist. If you guys want to see my reviews for past episodes of the show, you should be able to find them there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist here. Have a good day now.